Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. The last 2 days have actually been quite quiet in the FIDE World Cup of 2025 here in round 4. We had 2 decisive results yesterday, Jose Martinez winning and Levon Aronian winning. Today there were 3 decisive games only, so there are lots of tiebreak games for tomorrow, but 5 players have booked their place in round 5. They are Jose Martinez and they are Levon Aronian, who both drew their games today, and they are the 3 winners from today's video. The first game I have for you is the Battle of the Germans. Alexander Donchenko, who's had a fantastic World Cup. He defeated Anish Giri in the previous round. Matthias Bluebaum is in the candidates. He's had a fairly quiet tournament so far. He's got the black pieces. He was not able to make anything stick yesterday with white. Donchenko opens with c4. We have e6. Sorry, I thought I wasn't recording for a second. e6, knight to c3, d5, d4. So now we basically have a queen's gambit declined with bishop to e7, c takes d5, e takes d5, and now bishop to f4. So fairly standard stuff. Knight to f6, e3, short castles, and now h3, just meaning that the bishop can get out the way if knight to h5 ever gets played. Sorry, my brain went blank for a second. Obviously not possible at the moment. We play c5, knight to f3, knight to c6, and now bishop to b5. I mean, this is a position you and I have seen a lot. If you play this kind of structure, we've got c takes d4, knight takes d4, queen to b6, and short castles. Bishop's well protected, everything's protected in the center. Knight takes d4, and now you have a choice what to take with. We take with the queen, offering a queen trade, which is exactly what we get. So one of these players has to win from here. 2 very evenly matched players. They go in separated by 6 rating points. Who's going to come forward? I would give the advantage to white because all of their minor pieces are developed. This light squared bishop kind of has some choices to make. Can't go here. Can go there. Can come here. Those are the only real... Can go here and here. Everywhere else is kind of blocked. You can try and fianchetto it, but you're going to be staring at your own pawn. That is the inherent problem. So we get bishop to e6. Now that bishop... It's developed, but it's not really doing much. We get the bishop back to d3, a6, knight jumping out to the center to a4, because now if you commit with b5, I'm going in here. And you're going to have to give up the bishop for it, and you're going to leave me with 2 bishops. Knight to d7 covers that, and now look at that b4. Looks like the sacrifice of a pawn, doesn't it? You can't really grab it because then I'm coming in very quickly with like rook to b1. Once rook fb1, but rook ab1 is fine. a5 tries to hold on, but now I've got, rook b3. And this is just actually a very tactical sacrifice there from white. We get bishop to f6 instead, targeting the pawn. The bishop has to drop back to e3, so we're kind of stalemated. Knight to b8. Knight jumps into b6, which is a very powerful square. Rook slides up to a7, and look at that, f4. Donchenko looking to seize the initiative. Bluebaum wants to remove the knight. We drop the knight back. Knight comes forward, and a3. f5. Everything seeming to lock up. Now we're trying to find the open files, maneuvering the rooks. We get the knight to c5. Bishop to c8. Looks silly because you disconnect your rooks, but this knight cannot come forwards at all. When a bishop is 3 squares away from a knight, it controls it. Bishop to b1, looking to reroute potentially to a2 to target this weakness. And knight takes d4. Mistake. You would say, well, obviously. How obvious is it? This is check. Slide over, and now you've got a problem. Because you can play something like rook to d8. Defend this. You still can take this at any moment or kick out, and then the bishop opens, and this is a much better position for black. But after knight takes d4, I don't recapture the knight. I play bishop to a2. Your knight has no targets. and you cannot defend this properly anyway. You have to play rook to d8, and now I just drop the bishop back. Knight still continues to hang, and king to f8 is losing for Matthias Bluebaum. Knight to a4. b5, knight comes into b6, and d5 falls. And after d5 falls, we grab the bishop. Now I have the bishop pair and a knight that is a problem, as well as a damaged pawn structure. King to f1, bishop to b7. Look at the rook infiltrating. Look at that. We sneak a pawn. You potentially double. We trade off a set of rooks. We trade off both rooks. Donchenko is up a pawn, damaged structure, and 2 bishops. He's simply going to convert. Bishop to c5. We start pushing the pawns. We get all of our pawns on dark squares, which is important, and we're going to win this. There's nothing you can do to defend it, because I will just come and remove the knight. And this is a completely winning endgame. Alexander Donchenko is through to round 5, as is one of these players. Nodirbek Yakubboev. Oh, it spoils the result. I'm so sorry. Nodirbek Yakubboev versus Praggnanandhaa. Nodirbek Yakubboev has kind of had a quiet tournament, but he did knock out, he had a bye in the first round, knocks out Nicholas Huschenbeth from Germany in the second round, knocks out FIDE van Nguyen, I don't think I pronounced that properly, who's just, been invited to Tata Steel, and now he plays one of the, a newly minted Indian GM, at least I think. I don't know how long he's been in GM, it's only been a couple of years at most. One of their, up-and-coming players, trying to break into the 2700 club, plays a Scotch, which you don't see a lot of. And yesterday we did have all kinds of weird stuff going on. We get this main line, and it's a very interesting line, not going to lie. Knight's hanging, but if you take, you lose your queen. We're both jostling for this. We can now play knight to d2, f6, targeting the pawn again, g3, f takes, bishop slides over, and it's just a weird position where you've got to play queen e6. I mean, just weird. Grandmasters are being weird this tournament. We can play a3, bishop to c5, but that walks into b4. Bishop sliding forward, we can slide the rook out the way. Seems logical, but the players have had to spend some time getting here. Rook to b8. Now we invite a trade of bishops, which is what we get, and now short castles. And everybody made it out okay. You still can't push this because your queen / your rook hangs. And it's a massive problem. This knight on d2 you would like to place better, but you don't want to hang this, which is the inherent problem in your position. So we play rook to c1, but now c5. And now you've got decisions to make. You cannot take, because your rook hangs. Pushing might be a little bit too much, because I'll just drop back and trade bishops. But what do you have to do? You play knight to b3. Reason being, if it captures, as is what happens, I can do this. Knight to c5. Grab the pawn back. Still have a threat on the bishop, which has to go back to c8, the only good move. And now I can seize the a file. a6 comes. I can just play h3. And white slowly starts untangling the mess that they got themselves into, and they pick up a pawn in the center. Now, black does get it back, but I can play rook to c5. And queen to d4 is a problem. And it's not even clear why, because rook to d1 is impossible. You can't continue to kick the queen around. But I can grab this, and when you attack my queen, I've got now queen d1. And unfortunately here, Praggnanandhaa with 2 minutes on the clock and 10 moves to make, blunders. Plays queen takes b4, which loses on the spot to 2 moves. One is rook b1, because you would get down to the back rank and probably win this, at least. The other move is queen to c2, with the same idea. The bishop is targeted, you defend, but I take. Take, queen takes, still with defending the knight. Bishop can grab, but now I can bring the knight back. And this position is completely winning. We go for counterplay, but it is not enough. Rook to g8, a final defensive resource. And Nodirbek Yakubboev sacrifices the rook, because if you take, it's mate, and I will just take and remove your defender. And the queen by sheer miracle, cannot get back to defend this. The only defensive move would have been there, but I sealed the fate. So Nodirbek Yakubboev seizes the advantage, wins it in what was a beautiful, beautiful game. Hopefully this doesn't get spoiled. Quang Liem versus Kartik Venakartaman. I think I got spoiled slightly. D4, knight f6, c4, e6. So we're going for a Nimso Indian defense. Sorry, head loss went there for a second. E3, and this is like a main line. It is the truest test of White's arsenal. But they play quite a, what I would call a quiet variation. It doesn't really heat up. We don't get the big exchange. The bishop drops back. We do get this exchange kind of. But it's quite a quiet game for a long time as the players maneuver. We get a trade. We give this check. And it's quite quiet. We trade off the light squared bishops. So there's no real imbalance except in the slight imbalance in the pawn structure. That's kind of it. Where you've got this 3-on-2 here. But that can change and become a 2-on-2 at any point. In fact, it becomes this. Where you've got CD, hanging pawn structure, and you've got this isolated A-pawn. And black has got this. Now this could have some mobility. Doesn't have it at the moment, but could have. So you've got to be accurate. Quang Liem offers a queen trade. Why? Because this is actually beneficial for him. So we get queen b7. But now rook e8, defend the knight. Rook to d2 defends our knight. Queen slides over, attacking the rook. Can't take it because it's defended, but now how do you develop this bishop? So we bring the queen back. King slides over, now we bring the queen over, queen b3. And now black might be making some progress here on the queen side because this is a target. I've got 3 things in my position targeting that, and you can't push it forward. And you've got to maintain defense of it. And rook to d1 is no good, because you walk into b4. You cannot take, because your rook hangs. You cannot take this with the queen, because obviously you hang your queen. And you can't push. You can't push. Because knight b6 comes. That pawn falls. Not to mention the opening of the c file. And this is still blockaded. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm yawning. It's a bit late. So, Kartik is busted. He goes for d5. Knight to c5 now, though. Not knight to b6, knight to c5 now can come. Target the queen. Queen slides over. Queen a4. Don't need to take yet. You can grab here. Very simple idea. Just try to open the king up. I can take. Be patient. Knight comes. I'm not scared. Queen c4. Bishop to g5 attacks the rook. Rook slides to c8, which is not the most accurate move, but still perfectly fine. d6. Now we're looking to push through. Knight drops back. Knights are the best blockaders and defenders of passed pawns. Knight a2. Queen to c5. Queen g3. Players are now struggling a little bit. Not quite low time, as you would call it, but down to about 10 minutes. Rook to c8. Rook to c6 rather. Bishop to e3, which targets the queen. And now you've got decisions to make. You've got to be accurate. Queen f5. Bishop again, maneuvering. g6. And now I get my bishop out. It's in the game, and it's targeting your rook. Your knight is blockading, but the only thing defending your knight is your rook. Rook slides over, and now look at that. Rook c2. A collinear move. We don't take. We play this because I'm targeting your knight, because I want to push this through. This is defended. Knight comes forward. Look at that. Attack the queen, take the rook, and push. You can't stop it. You have to sack. I get the fork. I take this and bring the queen in. And bring the rook in. And trade. And go here. And you bust. I can pick this up. And this is a completely winning endgame. I'm up the exchange. Kartik has to defend this with all his might. And he does give it his best try. It's not going to be enough. He pushes all his pawns through, trying to create problems. It's never enough. The rook is too strong for the minor pieces. You just got an up under a fork or a skewer. Get your knight well positioned. And knight to c3 was it. Quang Liem advances in what was a very eventful day. Obviously, oh boy, lots of tiebreak games tomorrow. There were only 5 players of 32 that have advanced. 5 players being knocked out, so that's 10 players total. We have 11 tiebreak games out of the 16. Frederick Svane and Shanti Gassen, Peter Leka and Arjun Erigaisi, Praggnanandhaa, Ramesh Babu and Daniel Dubov, Vincent Keimer and Andrei Sapenko, Wei Yi and Parham Maksudlu, Niels Grandilis and Pintala Harikrishna, Sam Sevian and Lorenzo Ludici, Maxim Vachier-Lagrave and Alexei Grembev, Awanda Liang and Gabriel Sagarsian, Sam Shankland and Ricard Laporte, Yu Yengi and Yakovar Sandarev. It's going to be interesting.